1340 KVGC. On the phone with me, Douglas Viviani. He's one of the hosts of Everything Old is New Again every Saturday evening at 6 o'clock here on 1340 KVGC. And I was a little busy over the last couple of days, but I understand your daughter had her first day in school.
She did. It was quite exciting to get her on the bus and wave goodbye and free up a few minutes in the morning for myself now these days. But on the other hand, I was actually packing her lunch, and I've been packing the lunch ever since, and looking at the calendar and looking at what's for lunch every day. And boy, does that bring back memories now. It's a world I haven't been in, but all the old lunches from school are coming back to memory. You remember all those those lunches?
Yeah. What was your favorite lunch in school?
I love believe it or not, I love the spaghetti and meatballs. It was just a very unique, I don't think I'm going to say it was great, but it was a very unique flavor that I've never gotten or haven't gotten since. How about you?
Well, growing up in a predominantly Italian family for the last 60 years, I've had great spaghetti sauce, great gravy, whatever you want to call it. But my favorite was every Wednesday, spaghetti, meatballs, salad, French bread, and also chili. We used to have chili on, I think it was Thursday, and with cornbread, and they would actually make it. You know, back then the lunches were all made from scratch back in the day. Now I think they a lot of folks, a lot of school districts buy pre-made, stuff that's packed like an airline dinner or lunch. You follow me on that?
Yes, absolutely.
And they
warm it was made, it was made by the old lunch ladies in the back with those silly hair nets on, and the second one that I would love would be the Sloppy Joes. I don't think I've ever had a Sloppy Joe since maybe high school. Have you?
You know what? Yes, Sloppy Joes are almost a delicacy around our. You know how that simple comfort food, you never have it, and when you have it, it's like, oh, this is a delicacy. Oh my God! So.
Well, but they wouldn't serve, I don't think, anything like that now. They're all a different diet. I mean, we used to have Crispin's Quake cereal, if you remember that.
Sure.
Now it's like oatmeal of all different kind of flavors. I used to have the Fluffer Nutter peanut butter sandwich, if you remember that one. Now it's turkey tacos. Snowballs, the coconut marshmallow covered chocolate cake. Now it's hummus and pretzel slices.
Did you ever try to eat the cake out of the snowball and just leave the pink or white?
That's like solving a Rubik's Cube, I think. I don't know. It's not so easy to do. Do you remember all that stuff? The scooter pies and the ring dings, and did you have all that? The pixie sticks.
Yeah. Now ring dings and devil dogs. I think we have the same thing here on the West Coast, but I think we might call them like ho-hos and ding-dongs, and that, because we have the rolled up chocolate cake with the white, whatever type of frosting it is, dipped in chocolate, all that. It's.
And now it's a Go-Gurt tube of yogurt or a granola bar or a Nutella, right? I mean, it's a whole different.
Well, JD is JD. My oldest son is 33. My youngest son is 18, and my middle son will be 21. Jake will be 21 just early next month, and he and Joey, my youngest son, they snacked on about the same type of stuff as a kid, but JD had different stuff. JD was growing up in the time when we were transitioning from all this high sugar stuff to healthy stuff, and Joey and Jake they lived during the healthy stuff. So I enjoyed JD's childhood, I think, more than the other boys.
I agree. So that's what I'll be going through with Angelica. I snuck in a little bit of Mr. Salty pretzels into her lunch today. I hope that doesn't cause a riot at the lunch table.
You may get a call from the school telling you that, investigating you for child endangerment or something.
Exactly. I know that you've been busy as a result of
You better find a good lawyer. You better find a good lawyer to help you out with this one. You may be in trouble.
I specialize in defending food fights. Or the injuries from a food fight.
Yeah. Yeah, we've been tied up with the Butte fire, and this morning as we talk, it's 55% contained, and it jumped just, now it's over 70,000 acres, and the sad part about it all is that 365 families have been displaced, have actually lost their home. We've had folks evacuated. There still are evacuation centers for folks that can't get back into their homes, even though they're may not be destroyed. But there still are pockets of live fire, and it's not totally out. But I tell you what, there's a video that's posted on our Facebook page of CAL FIRE group, actually from San Luis Obispo, from Southern California, because we have firefighters, over 4,000 firefighters on the line here from all over the state and out of the state. Take a look at this video. It's of these guys fighting a fire as it comes up next to a house with just their hose and the truck, and it is amazing what these men and women do. And we've been on it since Wednesday afternoon, and pretty much the peak, the hot spot, the hot time was Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and it began to kind of cool down, sorry the pun, Sunday night, Monday. But that's also coincided with the temperatures here, because as you know, California's been in the middle of a historic drought, and we're coming off of a summer of temperatures triple digits every day. Right. And and just dry. We did have a little bit of moisture, a little bit of rain, but it only lasts for just a short time on the fire lines. Then it dries back out again. We're all looking.
KVGC was the source of, and still is the source of, I think, all the greatest coverage that you can about this situation. On Facebook, you're posting information. Of course, every day you're online interviewing people. I've been listening, and right there on the front lines, I think you deserve credit for all the hard work that you're doing, posting and of course, broadcasting all the information that's needed. And I'll tell you, that tells you a little bit about the power of radio, how important it is. And I think you've done a great job. I give you a pat on the back from New York here.
That's what local radio is all about, and that's what's going to this is a good example of what's going to save radio. Not big corporations, not every station sounding like it's out of the same cookie cutter mold. Right. This is what will, and people have to realize this, that we have to get back to this. We've never, I don't want to sound like I'm tooting my own horn, but we've never wavered from this. This is, we use the term hometown radio, and it's on purpose. We are hometown radio. We may not sound like professional announcers. We're your neighbors. We're your, we live here. This is our community, and it's our job to get you the information and, broadcast the high school football game tonight and talk to a guy all the way across the country about what his daughter ate for lunch yesterday. No, you know what I mean? It's
absolutely, and that's
neighbors.
What I love about everything Olders Do again as well is while we're not local, our at least topics and our conversation brings a little fun to the radio, but also is of local flavor. In that, I think there are topics that reach across the geographical areas. And at least for an hour, we can all be on the same page, talking about about whatever the fun topic is of the week. And
what I think about the show? This is what I think about the show. Listening to the show, to me, is like looking at a 1968, 69 Sears Christmas catalog. I mean, it takes you back. It gives you memories. It's good, and I enjoy it. So.
I appreciate that. I think you can pick and choose. Though 1 week you go into the aisle for games, and the next week you go into the aisle for clothes, and to see what you're going to purchase. So this week we're going to go back in time, and we're going to take a look at baseball, and we're going to see is baseball America's pastime, and we're just about ready to get into the playoffs here, and I just want to take a look and see. To me, it's a sport that parents, kids, grandparents shared and still do share and compare and contrast the teams of the past with that of today, and that's right up our alley. It's what we do on our show, and the use of statistics and facts to show that the game's not changed over time, in that there's a certain number of home runs that are benchmark, steroids aside, and do people still do this and share the game together? And of course, the personalities in baseball, I think they've changed quite a bit. There still are some, but I think Dave and I are going to go back and forth and look at the 70s and 80s and 60s and compare them to today and have some fun with baseball.
The question I have for you is, from the East Coast, when Barry Bonds was going through his steroid, issues, was that big on the East Coast as it was here on the West Coast? Because he's a giant, and one of the giants, and home run, king, and so forth and so on. Was it covered much on the East Coast at all?
Yes, I'll tell you what happened was once the single season home run record was broken by Sosa and McGuire, and then that kept on happening year after year, and all of a sudden Barry Bonds got involved. We didn't cover it in the way that you think. It was basically covered. Yeah, there are home runs being hit, but what's going on here with this guy? There wasn't any pronouncement that he was on steroids really until after he retired, at least on this end. But it was this black cloud and this question, and then it started to build, almost like like a smoldering fire. I hate to say, but in that. People started to get more angry and more angry and more angry as all of these statistics that are ingrained in our soul, 714, 711, 61, I'm not 711, 755, 61, all these numbers, if you know about home runs and so forth, fell by the wayside artificially. It really then, to us, kind of bastardized the statistical aspect of the game, which I think, and I think a lot of New Yorkers think, separates the game from all the other sports. Because you can take a look at 61 homers for a season, and that's the benchmark, and certainly if it's naturally challenged, that's wonderful. But to artificially break a revered record like that, and then now it's done like 6 or 7 times already now, into the 70s, it kind of ruins it. Like, how do I compare then Roger Maris to Barry Bonds? It really can't be done. And then so now the transition of looking at baseball through the years all the way back to Babe Ruth is kind of hard to do now, and that was the fun of baseball, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I think the part that bothers me the most is when I was growing up, the Giants, but also the A's had moved to California from Kansas City, and they'd come to Oakland, and we had Barry Bonds, we had pardon me, not Barry Bonds, we had Reggie Jackson,
right.
Sal Bando, Campy Campaneras, all these guys. I mean, I can just sit here if I wasn't half brain dead from working over the fire here the last couple of weeks, I'd be able to just rattle off the whole starting line. Raleigh Fingers pitching, all these guys that. And I knew them, and I knew what positions they played, and they were going to be there year after year after year. My boys growing up, you may play for a team for 1 year and be gone. You're on another. There's no, I don't know, what do you want to say? There's no loyalty in players and teams, and how can fans develop loyalty for teams? That's the part that I don't like about.
I agree 100%. I think the kids now follow a particular player as opposed to a team. They'll be interested because they're doing fantasy, or they hear the news on a particular player and they'll follow him or her, not her, but wherever they go. And I don't know. It's like Pete Rose. He did travel on a few teams, but it was like he was on 2 teams. Reggie traveled around a little bit, but for the most part, you had a majority of your team stayed there, so you had some continuity, and these were your guys, And we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the A's, the dynasty of the A's, and we'll talk going to the Cincinnati Reds and then into the Yankees from the 70s, and see about the Giants and the Cardinals of today are sort of like that. But is that a problem that we don't have dynasties? It's always nice to have that solid team that a lot of the players on to like and or hate and shoot down, So it's an interesting discussion. I think we'll have some
You
fun.
and I had this talk once before about me coaching Little League, and we had to be the Yankees one year, and I couldn't take myself, couldn't force myself to put on I would only wear the uniform and the hat at game time. I wouldn't wear the hat in practice. Hey, Douglas, we have to run, but thank you, and we're looking forward to you and David this coming Saturday night, 6 o'clock. Everything old is new again. So real quick, 30 seconds, what's Leo do now that his sister's gone?
Leo and I have a morning breakfast, and we bounce off the walls and celebrate Angelica going to first grade with a couple of eggs, and he play with his figurines a little bit during breakfast, uninterrupted. It's a nice bonding time, and then he goes off to his preschool, and I go off the court.
And a bowl of Quispam Quake.
There you go.
All right, Douglas Viviani. Everything old is new again. We'll talk with you next week.
Excellent. Thank you.